Welcome to Crosstown Cardboard, episode 56, with my great friend Craig at New York City Sports Cards, the math teacher and soccer coach, originally from Long Island, now in New York City, and myself, Carmine at Carmine's Cards, originally from Westchester County, New York. I'm wearing the Westchester Hawks hoodie for my old AAU basketball team, if you're watching on the YouTube, and now living in South Carolina. Craig also repping NY with his apparel today. And that's fitting because just 1 year ago, two New York raised fellas started a podcast and called it Crosstown Cardboard. And we're celebrating our 1 year anniversary for episode 56 of Craig and I getting together, starting up the podcast. And that matches another New York fella, a 56 game hit streak by the Joey D, Joe DiMaggio, New York Yankees legend. So for episode 56, we're keeping that streak going. We have not missed an episode, just like Joe DiMaggio set that precedent for the New York guys in the past. And so we're going to be going through a few of the highlights that we've had in our 1 year since starting up Crosstown Cardboard together. But Craig, before we get to that, I want to ask, how are you doing? And if you can please tell the story of a card related to another Yankees great that you recently made a move with.
Not only a Yankees great, but a card that I picked up in New York City in the most New York City fashion. So a New York episode to celebrate 1 year straight. October 12th was our first upload. We are recording this on October 9th and it will air on October 11th. A year straight. We have not missed a week. Maybe that's because we've just become good friends and we like hanging out, combined with our love for sports cards. And even through some weeks where I feel fatigued or maybe my hobby buzz isn't quite there, we have found a way to do it. So
yeah,
good for us. Thank you to the listeners for sticking with us for a year. And I'll get to the story real quick.
Yeah. And I just want to jump in real quick because, like you said, if we didn't enjoy each other's company and enjoy just having this outlet to connect with people, and we just got a message this week from somebody on Instagram saying, really enjoy listening to you guys, even though I'm a vintage collector and you guys don't really talk about vintage too much. I really enjoy listening to you guys while I'm at work, and you help my drives go by so much easier and stuff like that. And I mean, that is just incredible. So what a humbling type of thing, and just great to be able to connect with people through a hobby like this for the past year, and to continue moving on. And like Craig said, I mean, life gets busy for all of us, and if we didn't have the love and the passion and the excitement to talk about sports cards with each other and to just talk about sports cards because we love the hobby, we wouldn't be here doing this. So we're not getting paid for it. It's just the excitement.
Love of the game. Love of the game.
Exactly. That's fueling it. So
you're definitely about this life.
And you were adjusting everything in the background, Craig. Nobody even noticed if they were on the podcast. That was smooth.
Yeah. What can I say? But yeah, love of the game. We love this. And it's going to keep going, especially as my card club is starting up. Quick story before I get into my recent card move is we had a club fair at our school a couple weeks ago. So I brought in to get new kids to join card club this year. I had a sign-up sheet. I had a bunch of packs that I bought. I said, sign up, rip a pack. So I was able to recruit some new people into card club. And my principal had put in the club schedule that we're meeting card club every Thursday. So I never had an official start date because I'm in the middle of coaching club soccer and high school soccer. I have no time after school. So I'm going to start card club up again next month. So this past Thursday, someone shows up to my door right at the end of the school day. My assistant principal said, "Oh, he's here for trading card club." So I'm like, "Well, have we met before? I don't remember you signing up." He said, "No, I didn't sign up, but I did see it on the club schedule. So I'm here for the meeting." So I'm like, "Well, I hate to break it to you. We're not starting card club just yet, but let me take down your information and I will text you along with everyone else when the first meeting is." This student is an avid collector. He's been collecting for 3 years. He sells cards on eBay. He goes to the shops in New York City. And this is a freshman at my high school. I had no idea. He just showed up. I had never met him before. So there's another avid card collector in my school. So safe to say, card club this school year has some potential. So excited to see where that goes. And I'll have some stories to share, hopefully.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people who even we spoke with when we met for the first time at the National who were raving about the impact you're having on the kids at the card club, and they want to donate cards and participate somehow.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool as far as the potential for card club continuing to grow.
For sure. But back to the card. So a few weeks back, maybe a month or two ago, I spoke about finding in a storage unit in New York City, a sports card and collectible specific storage unit, a 1962 Fleer. Yes, 1962 Fleer Babe Ruth card. So post-playing days with a Mrs. Babe Ruth signature on it. The card was raw. It wasn't graded. Obviously, it came from a storage unit. But Mrs. Babe Ruth's late wife, Claire Ruth, would be a strange signature to fake. Spoke to a bunch of people. Everyone I spoke to says this seems to be legitimate. Obviously, what's the only way to do it? Send it into PSA. So I wanted it slabbed up. We talked about how did I want to get it graded. You suggested authentic all the way, and that is what I ended up doing. So there was no card grade. It just got an authentic autograph. The card itself cost me $5. I paid for expedited grading service, which came out to $118, but I got it back in 3 weeks.
Nice.
Autograph authentications takes months. So I am glad I paid the premium for 3 weeks door to door. So I'm into this Mrs. Babe Ruth autograph card for $123. So obviously my first instinct is, well, here's the card, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube. 1962 Topps, not Fleer. I made a mistake. So here's the card in the authentic PSA holder. Put it on eBay, no real traction. Put it in a Facebook group, a lot of interest. People commenting, people liking. And I spoke to a few friends. I looked up comps from years ago, and I kept getting ballpark estimates of a $400, $500, $600 card. And I was talking to Rob, sports card therapist, our good friend, about it, and he said he spoke to someone who said it's also probably worth $500. If he can get $500, he would take the deal. So I said to Rob, you know what? For $500, I don't know if I would sell it because that would be a profit of roughly $350. And to me, the sentimental value of the card, plus the story, plus the uniqueness, it's a pop one versus $350. To me, the card was more valuable.
Right.
Until I got a Facebook message that said, very professional message, said, I will offer you $1,000 PayPal goods and services. Now, that's got me thinking. Now,
right.
Think about the psychology of sports cards. If I negotiated with someone maybe at a lower number and we worked our way up to 1,000, I probably would have accepted a $1,000 offer. But when someone comes with you with an initial offer,
right,
I almost feel like as a seller, why not negotiate a little bit if that's the initial offer?
Yeah, well, you can't. I mean, as long as I agree 100%. As long as you're respectful from the negotiation standpoint, you have that standing offer at 1,000. Clearly, the guy's very interested.
Right.
So that's where you're gonna fall down to. That's your floor now, is $1,000 sale. As long as everything goes well, which I mean, with you, it would be respectful and nice. You're not gonna lose that $1,000 offer. So you can definitely fire back with something else.
Right. And the risk is obviously then losing the sale. The person loses interest, which I thought was happening because I countered at 1,200 and I sent 3 messages and I got left on red. Long story short, we met right in the middle at 1,100, and I paid for shipping. There were some PayPal fees, and I fully insured the package. So all in all, I was able to net on a card that I was into for $123. I was able to net $1,039.46 for a total profit of $916.46.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Wow. I know I didn't know the exact amount. I knew it was around $1,000 profit because we were texting and you told me I sold to Mrs. Babe Ruth. And so immediately I asked you how much it was for, but wow. So you sold it for not only a $900+ profit, but you sold it for double what a lot of other people were saying they thought it was worth.
Yeah. And again, going back to the psychology of sports cards, that offer came in the first day I posted it on Facebook. So you could think to yourself when selling a card, like, oh, if this offer is coming in now, I'm sure offers like that will come in the future. But in this case, my instinct was telling me, I don't know. That's a pretty good offer. I don't know if I'm going to ever get this offer again. So I took it. And look, I shipped it. The card's delivered, so done deal. And it went to a serious Babe Ruth collector. So the card is in a much better home. I have no sentimental value to Babe Ruth, to the Yankees. The only attachment to the card was the story, but I still have the story to share. And now it's off to a better home. I've got some money to maybe buy new cards, pay some bills, and something to always remember in my card journey.
Yeah. What are some of the lessons that you take out of that one?
One of a kind cards that you will not find, really is, if you could find something like that, I mean, that's the way to go. And also, sometimes it pays to pay for the faster PSA services. If I got that card back in 3 months, 4 months, who knows if that offer would have still been there.
And by the way, the baseball season would be over by the time you got that back. I know the Yankees. I know the Yankees aren't, in it as far as the postseason, but the interest in baseball is peaking right now. Like the playoffs are starting, a lot of people are interested in it. That could be a factor too. All of a sudden, people aren't really looking for baseball cards. That might be another thing.
Fair. I don't know if Babe Ruth collectors really care about when the sport is in season, but valid point. So yeah, that's that. I no longer have it, but I'm very content with how it all went down.
Well, good, bro, and I'm glad. I think the choice on the authentic of both. I mean, not saying that if it was a PSA 6 with a 9 auto or something like that, it wouldn't have sold just the same. But I think that seemed like that decision also paid off. And how about that? The education never stops with, I would venture to say that you probably haven't gone to a sports card storage unit, bought a card, especially of a wife of a sports legend, sent it off and sold it. But because of all the other skills that you've developed throughout your almost, 25 years of being in the hobby, that you were able to make this happen, taking little pieces of what you've learned along the way and incorporating it into a new situation and literally profiting off of it.
Yeah, and it's wild to think this all started because of a little table, a stand of cards that's out in Union Square right now, right across from the Foot Locker and the Taco Bell there. It all started a few years ago, me just going to that stand, buying a few $5 cards, and then one day asking the guy for the flyer, where did this stuff all come from? And here we are today talking about it. So fun times.
That's awesome.
Let's reflect though. I want you to start off the theme of this episode.
Okay, so our theme is our 1 year anniversary episode. Like Craig was saying, a year ago is right when we started the Crosstown Cardboard podcast. And, we might as well go through why we named it that if you're not up to date on that, just because, a lot of people jump in and out of listening to our episodes and watching them. I was born in Ossining, New York, and raised in Ossining, New York, in Westchester County, just north of New York City. Craig was born and raised on Long Island. So if you look at the map, if you're not familiar with New York, that's opposite sides of New York City. And so we called it Crosstown because, calling New York City a town is slightly understating it with, what is there, like 13 million people or something like that or more, probably more in Manhattan. So it's a little casual way of naming New York City, but we figured Crosstown Cardboard, the alliteration and that kind of thing to jump off. And I remember the first episode we recorded, Craig, if you recall, when I was still in Oregon, I was coming back from setting up at the Portland Card Show. They call it the Twin Oaks show up there. And that was the first major card show that I had set up at. When I say major, actually like hundreds of people there and probably 100 tables or maybe 75 tables in a mall. And I remember making like not making, but taking in total, not profit. I think it was about $2,400 in 2 days. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. Because up until that point, I had basically been either at card shows in Medford with about 12 tables in a local, an apartment complex clubhouse is where the card shows were being held in Medford. And that was a great experience too. Not to poo poo on that. I mean, it just wasn't a big show, but I did make some fun and good deals at those shows too, and cut my teeth in that area. But then going to Portland and being all juiced up and driving about 4 hours down back to Medford, Oregon, coming from that first card show and recording our first episode. And I remember we called it Why We're Starting a Sports Card Podcast, and just basically was our mission statement about why we feel we want to get our thoughts out there about talking about sports cards, and why we feel we have something to offer people, and how we'd be grateful for their time and any participation with that. So that's when I think about our 1 year anniversary, I immediately go back to when we first started and our first episode, and what was going on at that time, and how it just came from, which we've mentioned before, but it's a good time to go back on it again for a 1 year anniversary. How when we did our first deal, and I noticed the professionalism and the personal touch that you had to call me on the phone without even knowing me. We hadn't even done anything together. And that must have been about a year and a half ago now, or maybe even longer, a little bit longer. And just called me up and said, "Hey, you get to make this deal. How do you feel about it? What can we do?" And then we sent off the trade that we ended up making, involving the Jordan Fleer sticker rookie PSA 5, which is what you had, right?
You
And
traded
and
to
I
me.
right, right. And then you had the Kevin Durant auto with the piece. Was it the piece of the jersey also?
No, it was encased gold out of 10 in his Warriors uniform
Ah, okay. So that's what I got from you,
and some cash.
and 300.
That's
And
it.
you got the Jordan sticker PSA 5 rookie. So just from that deal, and then we kept talking because we had similar taste. We kept it rolling, and you can get a great vibe on even online or on Instagram. And I'm like shooting ideas off you. Hey, what do you think this card's valued at? I know you're a Giannis guy, and keeping that going, and then being involved in the Wolf Pack together when Rob, the sports card therapist, brought us together with Ken, Sports Card Lessons, Cousins Collectibles, Dave, DJ Sports Cards 86, me, you, and just to think about how far this journey has come in just a year in our show, in our collecting. My mind was almost boggled, trying to come up with highlights from it, because the whole thing seems like a highlight when you think about it all together. You can't help but reflect and smile on, you know, the comments we've gotten from people who have listened and viewed the podcast, to the relationship with each other and the Wolf Pack, and how the show is, reaching people and making a small impact and putting us out there in the sports card community. And yeah, it's just been, that's kind of just a summary of what I was trying to narrow down into a presentable format for our 1 year anniversary episode.
That's great. And I like that having this podcast for the past year, it kind of works both ways. Having this podcast, almost, I have to hold myself accountable, because it's like, all right, well, if we're going to talk about sports cards every week, which we love already, it's almost like forcing me to be active. So I have stuff to talk about. And then the opposite way, every time I go to a show or a trade night and something happens, I think, well, nice. Now I can go back on the podcast and I have something to talk about.
Right.
But the hobby stories write themselves. And I'm staring at, I picked out 5 of my favorite pickups from the last year since we started. And
Okay.
I really, truly think these don't happen without this podcast, because
Really?
when you make calculated card moves, it helps to talk it out, talk about your process. And I don't know if I get any of these without, I'm not saying, I'm not giving you the credit, Carmine. You didn't help
Whoa,
me
whoa,
get these
whoa.
cards.
No. You didn't say me. You said the podcast, which I'm a small part of.
That's what I mean. Fine. I'll give you a little bit of credit then. Just us going on here and talking about cards and pickups and buying and selling and trading, I feel like I've held myself accountable. So
Right.
I'm curious if you would be able to guess my top 5, but I'm just going to rattle them off. 2
Okay,
of
go
them
ahead.
came from National, my 2 Knicks cards. And we have stayed true to our brand. We are collectors. We like what we like. We're just documenting our hobby journey. And
Yeah.
I think these cards really identify who I am as a collector.
Mm.
So from National, the 13-14 Flawless, Charles Oakley, game worn patch out of 5. The letter R. Incredible card. Also from National. Also from 13, 14 flawless. Larry Johnson, dual patch on card autograph out of 15.
Those are sick. I remember how excited everybody was in the Wolf Pack when you came back to the table and showed off those pickups.
Yeah, man, that was special. This 1960 Hemit's Journal, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali rookie card in a PSA 1.5. I remember going to a show and I didn't really get much from the show. So I was going to go back onto the podcast and speak about that. Like, man, what a disappointing show this was. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So I had that money burning a hole in my pocket.
Yep.
And I got this for a great price on PWCC. Not sponsored.
Yep.
Not sponsored. And my two favorite
not sponsored.
My two favorite card pickups of the year. This one also from National, the Kylian Mbappe 2018 Prism Blue in a 9.5.
Yep.
And my birthday present to myself, the 2020 Topps Chrome Bundesliga Erling Haaland Red Refractor out of 10 in a PSA 10. Those are probably my 5, not just valuable wise, but my 5 favorite pickups of the year. And all the things we continue to talk about on here. Like for me, I like soccer. I love collecting my Knicks. We have really stayed true to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anyone that has listened to us from episode 1 until now would agree we haven't switched up or anything like that. We're the same genuine people with the same intentions that we were a year ago.
Yeah. No, very well said. Very well said. And I love those top 5 pickups of the past year since we started the podcast. And I also thought one of the highlights that I was thinking about was staying true to what we do and, avoiding some of the sports card drama that's out there, the shill bidding situations and, the scams and the card porn and all that, kind of stuff that a lot of other people are going to talk about, and we kind of leave that up to them. I mean, of course, we are in the hobby pretty actively, and we know, a lot of what's going on just from everything that's out there, and stay up on it and talk about everything in our Wolfpack group chat to a certain extent. But Craig, I think you've done a great job over the past year of keeping us focused on these evergreen episodes that can really have an impact on any collector at any time. Doesn't have to be, the news of the day that a lot of the other sports card podcasts are going to cover, and good for them if that's what they want to go for, live and let live. But for us, we kind of build off of just the love of the cards themselves, stories that we've gone through, situations that we've been in that can hopefully benefit somebody else who's listening, or at least relate to them and say, hey, you're not the only one out there who's going through this. And, go off our chemistry, have fun, and try to keep it mainly positive while not ignoring some of the negative aspects that come up in our own hobby journeys. But if it's something that other people are going to talk about, and there's a lot of other sports card podcasts that do cover those drama-filled situations and jump on those. Again, no shade on them, but that's just not what we really focus on, because we don't feel that's the most valuable use of your time for listening to us and what we have to offer. So I think, looking back on it, I think you've been a huge part of that, Craig, is keeping us focused on what we do, what we're best at, and how we can best offer our time to make whoever's time who's listening and watching us worthwhile.
Well, to quote Fergie in the song My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas, no drama, no drama.
So, did you know that off the top of your head? Please tell me no.
Yes and no. But in all seriousness,
oh my gosh,
we're not there's so much stuff going on in the hobby, like drama, shill bidding, what companies taking over this and that, and we are well aware of what's happening, but that's not what we're here to discuss. But I am glad part of staying true to us is that we said from episode 1, diversity is important to us. And I think we've done a pretty good job at showcasing that through our various interviews, people of different backgrounds, race, gender, because that's important to us.
Yes.
The hobby's not all online. It's in person, that's in stores, at shows. And there's a lot of people there. So you and I are people. I'd say we're both a people person, and we like mingling and getting to know people. And hopefully everyone else has enjoyed getting to know those guests that we've had on our podcast as well.
Yeah, 100%. And very, very well said with that too. So I was thinking card related. One of the highlights that I have gotten from our year of starting the podcast, and I'll try to pull up these photos. I have them somewhere in the archives on my phone. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll try to pull them up. But I got my first GOAT autos of a bunch of different sports. I got my first Michael Jordan autograph, my first Tom Brady autograph, my first Cristiano Ronaldo autograph, although we both believe Messi's the GOAT, as we know from our I don't want to start a big debate here. I know you have a Messi and Ronaldo card, dual card in your background there, but you're a big Messi guy, so I would never come on here and say Ronaldo's the GOAT, especially with Messi's recent impact on Inter Miami.
Wait, thumbnail. Me pointing at Messi. Boom.
And I got Tiger right here.
I don't remember you getting a Tom Brady autograph.
I had a Tom Brady sticker autograph. It was a playbook. It was numbered out of 5. Tom Brady sticker auto with a few pieces of the jersey in the card, but it was a 2 card, like those cards that need the 2 one touches to fit. So it was like a foldable deal, but it was where it had to stay open because you don't want to smudge the autograph. That's one of the big risks with those foldable cards. So I got a Brady, Ronaldo, MJ auto. I got a couple Tiger autos. One of them still in my background, the rookie autograph, SP Authentic, and a Pele auto also. And I'm sure if I thought about it, there's some other ones. I mean, you could say Phil Knight is the GOAT of Nike, creating the Jordan brand and all that. Larry Bird is my personal GOAT, but I have a lot of cards of his. So yeah, just acquiring those cards of all-time great players in their sport that I would have never dreamed of getting back into the hobby during the pandemic in the summer of 2021. So a little over 2 years ago now, getting back into it and just going through my old collection. And I would have never thought that getting autographs of one of these guys, let alone a bunch of different greatest of all time dudes, would be something that I would do. But I think also influenced by the podcast and just leveling up became something that happened. And each time was a personal growth, like, wow, look at this level I've reached. And then also opened up the door to new possibilities by trading into these cards and then maybe trading out of them or getting cash and seeing what situation. And then also legitimizing yourself to a certain level when you post them on Instagram and stuff like that. And you're like, whoa, somebody looks and they say, oh, this guy's got an MJ auto. He's slightly more legit than what he was before. If you're building a portfolio and you are now known for having higher level cards, then if that's something you want to do and keep leveling up or getting higher level cards into your PC, then it's just a natural attraction from you have these higher level cards and you're trying to maybe not PC that exact card, but a similar level of like a Larry Bird card. Now I'm comfortable swimming in those waters of, $2,000 to $7,000 cards and much more comfortable to be able to, not very often am I swimming in those waters, but if I get my life jacket on and my floaties and get the bravery up, I can jump in.
That's fair. And speaking of like acquiring those big cards, which you and I were both able to do at National, I think we've also been very honest and transparent on the show. Like, I think we're both in agreement where this is a busy time of year for us and maybe the hobby energy has slowed down a little bit, but I'm confident just in being able to reflect on the last year, how many good times and laughs that we had, that we'll get ourselves back there slowly but surely.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have another highlight from 1 year since starting the podcast?
All right. It's a very specific highlight, but the hobby is filled with buying and selling and trading and networking and meeting people and posting cards. And I feel like that moment all came together when we were at National and we just finished our dinner at Steakhouse, Gibson's. And you and me and Ken and the cousins, Rob was elsewhere. we're walking into that trade night like we're a crew going to a nightclub. And I just felt like this is a year of hobby participation all together. We're about
Yeah.
to trade. We're going to see people face to face, these people that we've seen and met online. It gets all coming together in this moment. Like that was a mountaintop for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to recreate that. I really am in the near future. What I got to wrap it up soon because I'm actually meeting someone later. I do a little bit of consulting for his card club.
Okay.
And we also do soccer coaching. So it's a little 2-in-1.
Wow.
So I want to know what now. It's been a year of podcast recording. What
Mhm.
do you think the next year might look like?
Well, I think more of the same, hopefully, with some decently big PC pickups. And I think that's part of one of the things I'm most happy about with the podcast is becoming more of a collector and leveling up, ironically, leveling up from flipping to become more of a collector. And if you go back and listen to more of our previous episodes from when we first started, you'll probably see there's a lot more wheeling and dealing going on, which is fine. Nothing against that, but that's where we were at the time, more so with the collecting still in the back of our mind. But since then I feel like, at least for me, have gone more toward being okay with building up my PC and not as much flipping with the action, and I feel like I've become more of a true collector, partially because of vocalizing how I feel about these cards and getting that out there every week on the podcast and realizing what's most important to me to get out of the cards that I interact with in the hobby.
I agree with you on the collector part. I'm becoming so obsessed with specific New York Knicks game worn triple color patches and autographs. And I like that. I feel like there's not many people in that lane with me relative to the rest of the hobby. And I don't care because it's what I like. Right. At the end of the day, that's what sports cards should be about. I mean, I shouldn't say should be about. There's people who use it as a business, but the
Right.
essence of collecting is what tugs at your heartstrings. And for me, it's New York Knicks, it's certain soccer players, and I'm sticking to that lane.
Right. And it should be whatever you want it to be. Like whatever, and we've said that a bunch of times too, Craig. It should be however you want a hobby, as long as you're doing it in an honest and genuine way. And that's how, that's what your heart feels. That should be what you go with. And I'm just on the YouTube, I'm showing off some of the PC pickups that I have, all of which I've gotten in the year since we started podcasting. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I have 8 Larry Bird involved autographs. 2 of them are dual autographs with Magic Johnson, the all-time great rivalry, one in college, one in the pros.
Love that.
And the other one is the triple autograph, the 1980 Topps Bird and Magic rookie with Dr. J in the middle, and all 3 autographs, PSA 10 auto, PSA 5 card grade. And so that kind of ties into the theme of becoming more of a collector in the 1 year since starting our podcast. But I also wanted to show off this recent pickup before you have to head out, Craig. And I mentioned this, that I had a pickup to share. It's another Bird auto. Surprise, surprise. It's the Noir 75th autographs for the All NBA, 75 anniversary team that they recently put together, as everybody knows. And it's a BGS 8.5 with a 10 auto. And Craig, our listeners and viewers know we're not crazy about the BGS 8.5 just because it doesn't quite hit the same. It's got that half of a grade. It's not our favorite. But the reason I had to go after this, not only because of it being a Larry Bird on-card auto, a specialty set for the 75th anniversary team, but it's numbered 1 out of 75. And that is a big key for some collectors. I won't say all, but to have the first of the serial number run, to have it be numbered 1 out of 75 gives me much bigger collector sentiment toward it. So I thought that was cool. And I traded my Anthony Davis flawless rookie patch numbered out of 25. And I actually got $25 back in return from the guy on Facebook. And so I think I'm into the bird for like $275. I think the last sale on it was like around 500 or around there, 470. I want to say in a raw out of 75. That was not the one numbered 1 out of 75. So if I was going to go sell this, I'd put more of a premium on it. But I don't think I'm looking to move that unless it's into a bigger Larry Bird card. So I'm excited about that, and that feeds back into becoming more of a collector. Now, the flip side of that, though, is that I don't have as much liquid cash to wheel and deal and get more cards. So I got
the flip side, no pun intended.
The flip side of not being a flipper. So I'll have to see if I can sell some stuff soon to invest more in being a collector, because that's where my heart is at in the hobby right now.
Well,
but
yeah, that's here's the advice my dad always gave me about anything in life. You'll figure it out.
That's the advice.
Yeah, I'm so serious.
No advice to figure it out, but just saying that
you will figure it out. Come on, you're a smart man. You are a seasoned collector. How you're gonna build up your bankroll to be able to collect and flip and get some big item cards, you will figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your confidence in me. So I know you got to head out, but man, what a year, going to the National, meeting each other for the first time, the Wolfpack being together at the National, and just, being like kids at a card sleepaway camp, even though we're all adults. And then all the cards we've gotten, the progress that the podcast has made while staying true to ourselves. I think it's really been a great year.
It's been fun, and I appreciate the loyal listeners. I hope we grow, not like for monetary reasons, just it's fun to put in this effort and see more listeners. So we hope that continues. Spread the good word. Leave some comments. I like seeing comments on YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks to everyone. We're going to keep this going.
Yes, sir. Year 1 is in the books. We already started season 2, but now year 2 starts up.